All right, so this is for my Zoom Tai Chi class. We're actually using Google Meet now, so it's not really Zoom anymore. I can't really call it Zoom anymore. But here is my online, this is for my online Tai Chi class. So if you come across this video and this is something that you're interested in, or you want to learn more about Tai Chi, specifically Grandmaster William C.C. Chen's 60 movements, which is what we're practicing here, and we're working through the first section right now in this online class, feel free to reach out to me. But so what we discussed today, just to kind of give a bit of a review, and then we'll throw it into the form, is this experience of winding and unwinding. And this is referred to in many ways in Tai Chi and in Tai Chi practice. But it's what's happening really at the joints, right? The hip and the shoulder joint are ball and socket joints, you can call them. Meaning basically they got this kind of this head, right? You got your humeral head or your femoral head that kind of sits in this in the hip. It's called an acetabulum, and the humerus sits in kind of like this. It's sort of like a cup that's made up by the clavicle, the acromion, the short part of the shoulder blade. So it's all kind of snug right in there, and it moves in a three-dimensional way. So anytime we're moving in the hip joint or in the shoulder joint, it's always going to be three-dimensional. You really can't move that joint linearly. It may look like the arm or the leg is moving in a straight line or linearly, but it's really not. There's some curvilinear movement. And in Tai Chi, we're taking advantage of that, and we're taking advantage of the fact that all these tendons and ligaments kind of wind around these bones, and almost like one of those little toy airplanes where you wind up the propeller and you let it go. That's kind of what's happening in Tai Chi, right? You're winding up the propeller and letting it go. And hence this winding and unwinding. And to me, I love this, and I love this feel. And it makes Tai Chi so enjoyable to do. It's almost like a pendulum swing or like a rocking chair. And it brings, Grandmaster William Chen often says, I don't do the form, the energy does. And my little bit of understanding or experience with this is kind of that kinetic energy that's being stored and then released in this winding and unwinding. And it really gives you that feel when you can tap into this, that again, you're not doing it, the energy is, and all you're kind of doing in the beginning is just setting that pendulum swing going, and it just keeps going. But let's dive into this, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna face the camera. I often face the opposite when I'm doing this in class, but I'm gonna face it this way to do this little video. So it all starts in the beginning, right? Even in the very beginning, when we wind, we start the wind by releasing in the ankles, knees, hips, and dropping into that right hip. And that allows us to unwind a little to the left, and then we shift into the left, and then we unwind back to the right. And then we release, we unwind in both hips. And we're really kind of winding and unwinding. So we're winding at the shoulders in order to be able to unwind at the shoulders and hips. We're winding at the shoulders in order to unwind at the shoulders and hips. And then again, we're releasing those fingers down, and here we're going to just sink into that left foot. So we're winding into that left hip to be able to unwind back to the right. We're shifting that weight. We're kind of winding or loading into that right hip so you can step forward with the left. You're winding into that left hip, and you're winding a little to the right, winding in the shoulder joints to be able to unwind back to the left. We're winding into that left hip, winding in the shoulders to be able to unwind back to the right, to make that step. We're going to wind a little to the left here at that hip joint into the shoulders so we can unwind back to the right. Wind a little to the right, shift back. We're going to wind a little to unwind back to the left. Shift into the right, wind a little to the right to unwind, or wind a little to the left to unwind back to the right. Shift back, shift forward. Again, we're winding a little to be able to unwind and expand and open up. Shift the weight back, wind a little to the right to unwind back to the left. Wind a little to the right to unwind back to the left. Take that step, shift the weight, wind a little to the left to unwind back to the left, and then back to the left. Shift the weight back, wind a little to the left to unwind back to the right, shift into the left, step back to the right, release, wind a little to unwind, and release. So it's this constant winding and unwinding, winding and unwinding. And I think the more you can tap into that, the more you'll find not only efficiency in the Tai Chi form, but if you can find it in your everyday life, that's where you can pull it from the form and you can bring it into your daily movement. And that's really what we're trying to do. Unless you're doing Tai Chi for sports performance or some other means, right? A lot of us are just trying to do it to help improve our everyday movement and even potentially just kind of function of our body and our mind. The mind tends to follow the body and vice versa. So if you can find the ease in your movement, you may find, at least in my experience, I've found that I can start finding a little bit more ease in my thinking and just in kind of my daily operation, right? If my body's moving if my body's moving well through life, my mind tends to kind of do the same thing with a little more sense of relax and ease. Hope this is helpful. Wind and unwind. Boom. Aloha.